Hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video I will be taking my boring looking waves and making them more realistic using the Gerstner wave algorithm. So for anybody who doesn't know, in one of my previous videos I used the Perlin noise algorithm to simulate the waves inside of my game. Now Perlin noise is not a good representation of waves, but it is very easy to set up and to work with. But I wanted something more. I needed the best, and luckily enough I found this great tutorial by Cat-like Coding, which gave me exactly what I needed. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Now before starting developing, let's start with something that most people find boring: research. What exactly are these Gerstner waves? Well, simply put, they are just modified sine waves with one key difference. A sine wave has peaks and valleys that are the same, but a Gerstner wave would have more sharper peaks and flatter valleys. Speaking of sine waves, this is what I got so far, and as you can see, we can set the amplitude, wavelength and the speed parameters to get different results. Now, an important parameter we have to add is the direction. Every wave needs a vector, which basically tells us in what direction that wave is quote-unquote headed. Now, one major problem with Perlin noise and using that as the wave algorithm is that it can only affect the y attribute of the water, so basically only the height of a certain point. But you can see that once we increase the resolution of our water, the Gerstner wave algorithm makes the points move in all 3D axes, making it a lot more realistic. Lastly, we can simply add multiple waves into the equation to get more details and again more realistic. Now of course this didn't go without any issues. I mean, here is a fun one. Don't ask how I managed to do that. Anyway, after some debugging, I solved the problem. I chose 3 waves because that's what the tutorial did, but you can add as many as you want. Just a note, choosing too many would most likely lead to performance issues, but I think 3 is a sweet spot for now. And great thing, we can choose the parameters for each separate wave. So each wave gets a direction vector, steepness and the wavelength. And that's kinda it for the Gerstner waves. Now don't leave just yet, I have a ton of other stuff that I added and I wanted to show it to you guys. But if you want to add Gerstner waves to your own project, I will leave the link to the tutorial down in the description. But only check it out after you finish with this video. Me personally, whilst the Gerstner waves looks amazing and definitely worth the work put in on it, on their own they look a bit boring since we can clearly see the 3 waves we have. But if you take a real world example, it almost seems like there are hundreds of waves crashing into each other constantly. And for this effect, we can utilize the Perlin noise we talked crap about all this time. So you can see how the Perlin noise waves make it look a bit more detailed in a sense. Here you can see what the Perlin noise looks like standalone. Now what I do is I simply take that noise and add it on top of the entire Gerstner wave algorithm. And now we can really start seeing our waves taking shape. Now since we have changed the way our water functions, my buoyancy system no longer works. For anyone who doesn't know, a buoyancy is just a fancy word for something that floats. So basically what I need to do is I need to convert the wave function that is currently coded in a shader into a C# script, which is called on the CPU. Anyways, here is this final C# code for anyone interested. And this is the final result for Buoyancy. Now, I had a lot of fun playing around with all of these cubes just floating around. And if anyone is interested in the actual physics behind the Buoyancy system, you can check out the video in the top right section after this one. I would also like to mention that if this is the first time you're seeing me, first of all, welcome. I am an indie solo game developer currently working on Tranquil Waters, an open world game set in the 1700s. Another thing, if you came this far, that also means that I have intrigued you well enough also to say, if you like the video and wish to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe and potentially also move the cursor to the right and like the video. Enough about me yapping, let's just continue. As you can see, if I place the water near the island, we stumble upon a big problem. Since our mesh is a flat rectangle, we can clearly see beneath the water, and this is no good. That's because our water lacks depth. And so what I need to do is, instead of generating a simple 2D quad, well, now I have to generate a cube. This sounds easier than most people think, so what I needed to do is to just simplify my problem. I started by getting just a simple cube mesh up and running with manually adding the vertices and the triangles. And as you can see, it looks how it's supposed to. So that was the easy part. Now I just need to create a function that can take in size and depth and create a 3D cube from this. And great, so now we can set the size and depth to what we want, and it actually works great. If we just slap the Gerstner wave material on top, you can see it looks even better than I imagined. If we look inside the mesh, the top and the bottom face are the exact same thing, so we can delete the bottom face to save some more space. And also we're only generating the side vertices on the side, which is again used to save on more space and makes the final mesh optimized. Now we have a problem. Remember when the water was a simple quad and I made it sort of a cutout so it looks like it goes around the island? The way I did it, based on the height map, I would check the pixel, and if it was not black, well, I would just ignore the vertice and the triangle and move on. Well, I tried replicating the same thing, but now with a cube. And I just could not get it to work, since before I had 4 side faces, but now with this added feature I could have God knows how many, since the side faces also need to follow the cutout. This resulted in a not very good looking island, but still, I guess I will have to come back to this problem some other day because I am completely lost. If you have any recommendations on this problem, please leave them in the description. I need all the help I can get. But I believe this is all I wanted to show you guys. I hope you maybe learned something new today, and once again, if I have intrigued you enough, make sure to subscribe, like, and also comment, since it helps with the algorithm. Thank you all so much for watching. Happy New Year, and until next time, bye.